So, Cuphead is already a difficult game for most. Still, I have been playing this game to death, to the point where I know the game's ins and outs by heart. I always like to challenge myself to see if certain things were possible in-game, or to see if I could do it. A little while ago, I was watching a video by Rundown Blade, and I felt like doing some trolling that day, and suggested to them my first challenge video where you had to keep player 2 alive. We made a deal that if they beat the challenge, they can suggest a video for me to do, and I would do it. Rundown Blade did eventually post the video, and they quit after Inkwell Isle 1. Yeah, I told him that I did it successfully, and I felt like a jerk. So I decided that I would be doing their challenge anyways, which was to beat the game without shooting. But I got cocky and doubled down, and I would have to do it in expert mode. So I started and quickly realized this is my most difficult challenge yet, and it took me an entire year to beat. So watch until the end of the video to see me throw all of my sanity into hell. So without any further ado, can I beat Cuphead without shooting on expert mode? Let's find out. Boom. Meow. Meow. Ah! Ow. The rules. I will be using a complete save to save myself some time. Pun not intended. So I can access all of my charms and supers and expert mode. I cannot shoot under any circumstances. So to make things easy, I will just unbind the shoot button. So it's useless if I press that button. Which means my only other methods of attacking are using whetstone, EX attacks, and supers. And I have to do all of this on expert mode. I will be using Divine Relic as it combines all the actually good charms for Cuphead, that being Whetstone, Heart Ring, Coffee, and Smoke Bomb, my beloved. Now that we have most of the rules out of the way, this match is gonna get red hot! It's on! As always, Cuphead and Mugman stumble upon the Devil's Casino. Cuphead has the 10% of Gambler's Luck, until the devil makes a bet with him, and Cuphead stupidly grabs the dice and loses. Now the devil needs us to collect the 17 soul contracts from the debitors, or he will take Cuphead and Mugman's souls. Cuphead and Mugman run back home, yada yada yada, you know the story. We are here for the challenge. The levels I want to get out of the way first are the run and gun levels, and all of them are possible, considering there's an achievement and a rank for not defeating an enemy in the level. And to say that is the easiest part of this challenge is an understatement. The mausoleums are literally built around the parry mechanics, so there's really no use talking about them. With all the junk levels out of the way, we can really start this challenge.
Welcome to Cooking with Zev Green. For this dish, you will need 1 or 2 potatoes, an onion, carrots, salt and pepper, butter, and sour cream.
I mean, if we were gonna start anywhere in Cuphead, I'm going with the root pack. Now, being the first fight, South Butter's only attack is simple to dodge. What I like to do is build up health using the Heart Ring until I make it to 6 hit points. This will be very crucial for future fights. After that, go behind Sal, whether you take damage to get back there or use Super 2 to get back there, and cut the potato
into a vertical line, but not all the way. And we entered a potato. Wash down the evidence and throw it into the microwave for about 3 minutes, and watch it scream to death.
Then, with Ollie Bulb, I decided to just do the phase normally, as I will do the secret phases in the DLC video, as I spent way too much time on this video for it to only get 100 views at most. Ollie, while easy to hit, has a slight twist. The tears are falling from the sky, and Cuphead bounces after using Whetstone. So to attempt to not take damage, I just dash to avoid the tear. Thank you, Smoke Bomb, my beloved. But try to wait until Ollie is not crying to get some hits in.
Once we cut the onion skin off, mince the onion, and remember, If you cry, the communists win. Throw it into a bowl, then we deal with
the Chauncey Chantney, which immediately presents us with a problem with the missile carrots. Make sure not to hit them underneath, as their hitbox will still be there as the missiles explode. Instead, loop around them, and once Chauncey is shooting his laser, just dash and carefully maneuver yourself to avoid what's going on screen, and once your super meter fills up, using the X to explode the carrots and then get some hits on Chauncey. Another method of getting rid of the carrots is to crouch and dash with Smoke Bomb, as once the carrots hit the ground, they will explode upon impact. Eventually, we defeat Chauncey,
and although I could not get the big carrots, I will use his children instead. Look at all this bloodshed. Cover your eyes, children. We dice the carrots and throw them into a bowl, heat up a pan with some butter until the surface is hot enough. Then throw them into cook. Stir every once in a while, add a dash of salt and a little bit of pepper, and then keep stirring until the food looks golden enough. And no, the potato is almost done. Oh, it's still alive? Throw it in for another 2 minutes. After the potato is dead, make sure to put it on a plate, then add some carrots, onion, sour cream, butter. Oh, and we can't forget the random leaves that do not enhance the dish whatsoever. And we have a dish that is a real knockout.
Honestly, I would give this a 2 out of 5 stars. It was alright. Next up is Goopy Le Grenade. Now, Goopy jumps around and Cuphead isn't able to hit him with Whetstone safely, so to slightly help, go behind Goopy and slap him with an axe. But recognize when you aren't able to go in for a hit, and easily avoid his boxing glove attack. And then once Goopy eats a jelly bean and transforms for Phase 2, hit the question marks for 2 free health points. Phase 2 is just like Phase 1, but Goopy took his last name to heart. Now in this footage, I was taking a long time to hit him, and what I should have done instead was to hit Goopy while he is about to punch, and then use Smoke Bomb to get past him and go in for another hit. This would have saved me many minutes, so I wish I've done that the first time. Once Goopy is dying, go in for some more hits, and Goopy will take his grudge to his grave. And to avoid the slam attack, just dash and then keep jumping while hitting Goopy's face on the tombstone, and then we will vandalize Goopy's grave with a knockout new design. Now, Hilda Burg is where most of the fun of the challenge goes to die and burn in a hole. Start by going on top of the screen and then hitting Hilda 9 times and then back off. And then grind for health using the blimps. And then build up the super meter. Trust me, you are going to need all of that health. Hit Hilda with an axe 1 more time and then back away from Hilda as she will blow up and Hilda will transform into her Gemini phase. And then use a fireball to attempt to damage Mugman. Use the already built up super to blast Hilda and then use what I will call the rule of 3 to 5. It goes like this. I've just used my bomb super on the boss, or I have taken damage. And I still have 3 seconds of invincibility frames left. Do I prioritize dodging? If so, I only hit 3 times. Do I have some time to dodge? If so, I will hit 4 times. Am I guaranteed to dodge? If so, I will hit 5 times. Then immediately after 3 to 5, get out of there before you get hit again. Hilda, however, moves so fast in this phase that it's hard to reliably hit her with Whetstone without the invincibility frames. So my solution instead is to build up my super from the blimps. and avoiding the fireball attack by shrinking. Once Hilda turns back into her blimp form, go underneath Hilda instead, as the tornado attack has a weird hitbox, and it's better to just go to the bottom to entirely avoid it. And there is no way to grind for parries, as only the green blimps appear. But hitting Hilda with Whetstone is rather strange. What you want to do is when Hilda is approaching downwards, you want to parry before hitting her, and then move slightly up, and then once the parry lands and the pause frame happens, move down immediately to avoid more damage. And try to keep track of Mugman to the best of your ability, as the green blimp can trip you up, which is exactly what happened to me, so do be careful. Once Hilda transforms into her Sagittarius form, Hilda will shoot out an arrow with 3-star projectiles, and to quickly get rid of them, parry from top, bottom, then middle. Like the Gemini phase, I like to build up my super, and then apply the rule of 3 to 5, and then repeat until the phase is over. Once Hilda is back in her blimp phase, build up that super meter, and then attack Hilda from below, and then Hilda will transform into her final phase, which is easily the most stressful phase in the fight. In fact, most of the final phases in this challenge are the most stressful ones. As always, red UFOs have Mugman go past them and then activate the yellow UFOs and then back up a little bit and then get past the yellow ones. Repeat the process while dodging the stars and make sure to parry the pink ones. You can also use Whetstone on Hilda's eyes while she is launching the UFOs at Mugman, which does a little bit more damage. Just parry her many times, and then use the bomb super along with the roll 3 to 5, and this happens way too many times throughout this entire challenge. After I couldn't keep track anymore, it took that long. I knocked out the moon, and our planet's stability is screwed. Moving on. Next on our kill list is Cagney Carnation. Now, as if this fight was not annoying enough on Expert, the first phase was straight up mental torture. The first thing you want to do on most fights is to get up close once the fight starts and get a few hits in, and then run away. Cagney will rapidly shoot out seeds and then do it again until the phase is over. The blue seeds will summon whatever this abomination is, and you will want to take it out quickly as it homes onto Mugman. And the pink seeds you want to parry, but if it does land on the ground, it will turn into a flying enemy where it shoots out parryable bullets at Mugman. Now the problem with this phase is that you have to focus on the enemies, and Cagney is to the point where you can't hurt Cagney often. And if you can't hurt Cagney often, that means that the phase lasts forever. And that is the last thing I want to be dealing with. So I try to build up my super meter so that I can shoot out Super Art 1 to clear the enemies and to get some hits on Cagney. After a painful amount of time, Cagney will initiate his sub-phase, where he lounges his head at Mugman, which can be easily avoided. And if Cagney does aim for the bottom, you can get some Whetstone hits in. The seeds and the boomerang were pretty straightforward to dodge, though after getting some more hits in, Cagney will go berserk and overgrows, taking over the floors and will use the roots to cover up the platforms. And at most, there can be 2 vines on screen at a time, which makes it more difficult to dodge. Not to mention, Cagney is also shooting out dandelions. Cagney is extremely awkward to hit with Whetstone, which makes everything difficult. Make sure to not use Whetstone, as Cagney is shooting out dandelions and his tongue has a weird hitbox. So be very careful, and use Smoke Bomb to your advantage when you need it. But do still try to get Whetstone hits in when Cagney is not shooting out dandelions. And we knocked out Cagney's eye sockets and reasonably screams. I mean, I would too if someone hit my eyes with an axe, or in this case a super beam. To end Inkwell Isle 1, we have Ribby and Croaks. Now this is the most difficult fight in this entire isle, and it will put your axing skills to the very test. I start out with getting 3 whetstone hits in, and then on the third one I dash to the left so that I can dodge Croaks' firefly attack. Thankfully, the fireflies do not suffer the same issue that the carrot missiles do in the root pack, where they immediately die in 1 hit, and that's that. The problem is, though, that so many spawn in, and while Ribby's doing his Street Fighter fist attack, I want to prioritize grinding for health and a full super so that I can blast the fireflies and Ribby and Croaks with Super Art 1. But this proved to be difficult, with me doing this for long periods of time. So I used Smoke Bomb to its ever-living limit, and crouching proved to be useful as well. It was just maneuvering around everything on screen that proved to be a struggle. And I can't hit Ribby and Croaks for too long once they're not attacking, as Croaks' Firefly attack may hit Cuphead. So I just focus on using Super Art 1 against them. And this is overall one of the hardest phases throughout this entire challenge. But eventually, Ribby will roll over to the other side of the screen to enact Phase 2. And while this is much easier than Phase 1, whatever you do, do not put your guard down, as that has ruined a crap load of runs on my part. Start off by hitting Ribby while he is rolling, and then Croaks will start pushing the player with his fan attack, while Ribby is doing his own attacks. I recommend hitting Croaks when his fan is inactive, as if his fan is active and you take too long to land a hit on him, you may launch inside of Croaks' hitbox, which is what we do not want. Avoiding Ribby's attacks were rather simple, and sometimes I use Croaks' fan to my advantage with me using it to hit Ribby. That is when Ribby is not attacking. Sometimes you just have to hit Croaks while he is doing his fan attack. So my advice is to get near his hands and then perform Whetstone to potentially hit Croaks. Eventually, Ribby rolls, and it is not worth hitting him, as any damage you do during this transition will not carry over into the final phase. Croaks commits cannibalism and turns into the gambling machine. Carefully avoid the scarily quick coins by jumping and not jumping, and repeat until you can parry the glove. Then hit the slot machine with Whetstone, and although this does not deal damage to it, there is a pretty important reason on why you have to do this. It is to align Cuphead to get ready for the real Whetstone hit, and the best way to telegraph it is with the icons of the slot machine and how they blink. It will blink 3 times, and once the final blink is over, immediately jump and land that Whetstone hit on the slot machine, and then quickly back away from it to avoid the attack. The bull is pretty easy to dodge, as all you had to do was get to the back and then jump every so often. The tiger was trickier, as you had to jump past the ball and the spikes, move to the left for a little bit until there's an opening, and then jump and then repeat the process. And it will get quicker and quicker to the point where I just find it to be easier to dash during the 11th spike to avoid the rest of the attack. The frogs are ironically the hardest ones to get right, as I use this attack as the proper opening to hit the slot machine. I would hit the slot machine while on a platform, and then land on the newest platform, and then keep doing this until it gets too fast to the point where I have to skip some spikes, and then dash at the end to avoid the rest of the spikes. And this is a pretty slow and stressful phase. I swear, I'm going to have a heart attack and die from it before I beat this challenge. But we knocked out our gambling addiction, and we can move on to the next style. Oh, thank gosh this is over. This took me over 10 hours. Now the next boss is an interesting one, and that one is Baroness Von Bon Bon. Now this fight will randomly choose 3 of the 5 mini-bosses for us to fight. So I don't really have a strategy, as it mainly relies on RNG, and I do not have the luck to get the mini-bosses I want. But I will still go over all 5 of them so you know how to deal with them. Lord Gobpacker is the easiest one, as all you have to do is use the candy platform to your advantage by jumping onto it and then have Gobpacker circle around Cuphead and get some hits in when you can. And you're gonna also want to fill up on your super meter if you need to for the later phases. And the jelly beans are a great source of that. And then we break the jawbreaker. I'm gonna go on a little rant here, but candy corn is underrated. I will eat that stuff up if you give me some. And all those people who say it's bad are wrong. Colonel Von Pop is a little trickier, as he will summon little candy corns that fly to the top of the screen. You are going to want to go in for hits when Colonel Von Pop is on the ground. And be careful around the middle, as he can go up. So do take measures to carefully avoid and even get a hit on him. But he is simple to deal with. And we quickly make work of the candy corn. Sergeant Gumball is one of the ones you do not want, but if you really have to deal with him, here's how to do it. The problem is that his gumballs are falling from the top, and like Ollie Bulb from earlier, it's just better to dodge the gumballs and the jelly beans, and then get a hit on Gumball when he's not attacking. And then we shatter Sergeant Gumball's mind. Next is Sir Woffington III. Now this is another easy one. Just back away when he is about to blow up and then hit with whetstone a couple of times. But still pay attention to the ground for jelly beans.
Woffington will shoot in the 4 cardinal directions and then diagonally or vice versa.
So do keep that in mind while dodging. We do eventually cut up the waffle and add some syrup and then chomp it down. And then we deal with Mufsky Chernikov, where you want to slightly be close to him when he is about to slam, so you can get a whetstone hit in. But pay attention to how he bounces, and you will get his pattern down pretty quickly. And he explodes with a cherry on top. During the 3rd phase, Baroness Von Bon Bon will shoot out her candy shotgun, so make sure to avoid the cotton candy puffballs. The final phase has Baroness Von Bon Bon's candy castle chase after Cuphead, and use this transition to your advantage by hitting her a couple of times as quickly as you can, and then immediately back away when the Baroness is throwing her head that homes onto Cuphead. While the castle is shooting peppermints, which you can parry on, which I use to rack up my super meter so that I can blast the Baroness with Super Art 1, as it is difficult to get the timing down to hit her with whetstone. But to do so, distract the homing head by going to the left side of the screen, and then try to hit Baroness Von Bon Bon with your axe, and then run back to the left in case if she throws another head at Cuphead. Eventually we knocked out the Baroness, and treated ourselves with a sweet victory. Next up is Mr. Twitter user himself, Beppi The Clown. Start off by clearing the ducks and then carefully hit Beppi with whetstone, and be prepared once Beppi charges to the other side of the screen, as you can either use whetstone while Beppi is passing or dash over him. As for the ducks, you are going to especially want to parry the pink ones. The ones with the light bulbs are easy to get rid of, and eventually Beppi will fall to his doom and come back as a balloon. The balloon dogs can be a bit tricky to deal with once there are so many on screen, as they go in a straight line to the player's location. But I abuse my ability to dash and jump to get some hits on Beppi. While this is happening, a roller coaster is coming in and out of the arena, so be prepared to change your plan in a whim. You can also parry the roller coaster's nose, which can help you build up the super meter, which will be very important for the next phase. We eventually pop the balloon, which I'm surprised it took this many axe hits to destroy a balloon. Beppi will then resort to using the Charlie horse, and this is one of those phases where it's not worth hitting the boss with the whetstone, and it is better to just build up my super meter, so that I can use Super 1 on Beppi. And although I have coffee to fill up on my super meter, I need parries to make it efficient, and we have just that. When the Charlie horse is green, you are going to want to prepare to jump for the parry as the horseshoes launch in an arc. But if you need to, utilize the dash to your benefit and parry the pink horseshoes. The yellow Charlie horses are really simple to dodge. Just go to the part where the horseshoes are not being thrown and build up your super meter with the pink horseshoes from the green ones, and then throw Super Art 1 at Beppi. While this is the most effective strategy, it does take a while to execute right, so do be patient. Eventually Beppi will cry like the Twitter user he is, and then he will fall again. But Beppi always gets back up. Beppi becomes one of those chair swing rides, and we have to use his platforms as the roller coaster is now too fast to comfortably platform on. Thankfully, this phase of Beppi is the easiest one to hit him in. The problem is that this is the longest phase in the entire fight. Beppi will summon penguins that shoot baseballs, and they can get quite tricky and stressful. To reduce the difficulty and stress, hit one of the penguins, and that should make things a tiny bit easier. Though the roller coaster can just ram and kill every single one that is still alive. So do keep your cool. Eventually, we knocked out the clown as we are not here for funny business. After rubbing the lamp a couple of times, we are met by Djimmi The Great. And this fight takes a lot of restarts during the first phase, as I always want the knives attack. But I always keep getting the homing cat missile things and the treasure bullet hell. So I have to keep restarting over and over again. Once you do get the knives attack, you just have to dodge them. They just simply spin and then hold on to the player's position in a straight line. Djimmi will also use his skull attack and launch it to the left side of the arena as an attack, but only does it twice per playthrough, and then just never does it for the rest of the fight ever again. The reason why I chose the knives attack is because it's the easiest one to deal with, as after Djimmi uses his last skull attack, go behind him and start grinding for health and the super meter, and then start beating Djimmi with whetstone. What is cool about the plane fights is that you have less cooldown for whetstone, and getting to constantly hit the boss in rapid succession is really satisfying. Eventually Djimmi will disappear and the pillars will come after Cuphead. Now to deal with them, get close to one, hit it, back away a bit, and then hit it again, and it will shatter into pieces. Be sure to carefully avoid the saw blades and use your super if you need to have some invincibility frames to get through the phase, as it can be hard to quickly destroy each pillar's head. Keep doing this until the sarcophagus comes and summons whatever the hell this is. I don't know what this is. And this might sound completely stupid and unnecessary, but shrink and go into the very bottom right corner, and hold down and right, and then just wait for the super meter to fill up. I know this will take 4.5 minutes, but this is the safest way to deal with this phase. Once your super fills up, hit whatever this thing is and use the roll of 3 to 5. This time, I recommend doing 4 to 5 hits, as you can get away very easily. And even when you defeat the sarcophagus, you should still have enough invincibility frames to get away. Then let Djimmi scan Cuphead for him to summon my boy Cuphead. Now, despite him looking like he would be very difficult to hit, Cuphead's hitbox always stays the same throughout the phase. So even if the head is bopping, it should not be a problem to hit Cuphead. I recommend hitting Cuphead on the top of his head, but sometimes you just have to aim for his shoe. However, Cuphead's attacks aren't the problem in this phase, as his bullets have an easy pattern with one of them being parryable, and the weird bullet line that comes from his fingers while he is shooting, and his walk is just pretty nothing of an attack. No, the problem is that damn hat. It will home onto Cuphead and then shoot an annoying amount of bullets, and it is just frustrating to deal with. I recommend distracting the hat on the left side of the screen and then get some hits on Cuphead. After we chop some wood, Djimmi grows huge, and this is one of those phases where you just want to spam the parry button as much as you can, as Djimmi is really simple to hit with whetstone, and you can just stay there and hit him constantly. But the I-beam will have you move slightly, and the pyramid lasers have you think to yourself to go above or below it. Make the decision quickly and keep hitting Djimmi with whetstone, and eventually the genie will breathe wrong and choke really badly. Oh boy, we really knocked out his lungs. Don't smoke, kids. Alright, so far, so good. This challenge is hard, but not too bad. Oh, Grim Matchstick. This is the part of the challenge where it starts to get insufferable. That is, if you are sane. And I am not sane. So let's slay the dragon. Start the fight by hitting Grim 2 times and then back away. Grim will either use his laser beam attack, where the third or fourth parry ring is parryable. And this is the only parryable thing in this entire level, so do keep this in mind. After Grim is done with one of his attacks, I like to hit him 2 times and then backing away. Grim will also shoot out fireballs in a curving pattern, and sometimes 2. This attack is predictable enough for me to get more hits in. After the first 12 hits, Grim will start using his tail to poke at Mugman. Using Smoke Bomb has saved me many times with attacks like that. Now here is something you might want to know, and that is, during the first phase, Grim takes 43 hits before his first phase and his sub-phase is over. Why is this important, you might ask? Well, if you keep count and deal 42 hits to Grim, wait until he does the fireball attack, then unleashing Super Art 1, and then hit him with Whetstone a couple of times, that will make Phase 2 a lot simpler. And trust me, you will need this. Once Grim backs away and summons little fireball people, Grim is in a really awkward position, so it can be difficult to hit him with Whetstone. And I can't just wait for my super to fill up, as that would take too long. Considering that there are no more parries in this level, so instead of using the cloud RNG to try to hit Grim through his back, we get close to Grim's snout and then drop from a cloud and then hit him with Whetstone. This isn't perfect, but it is the best way to damage Grim. At first, it seems really difficult to hit him, but once you get used to doing that, it becomes muscle memory. Simple, right? Well, that is where you are wrong. The fireballs are jumping around to where Mugman is, and sometimes predicting where Mugman is going to jump. And with all of that cloud RNG, it can be difficult to survive there for long periods of time. And look at the anticipation animation of the fireballs to determine where they're gonna jump. Then jump and dash accordingly. Keep beating up Grim with an X, and for some reason his hitbox when transitioning to the final phase is a little bit weird, so do be prepared for that. And as if the fight was not hard enough, we make it to the hardest phase in this entire challenge. And to say that this was extremely painful to deal with is an understatement. The fireballs from one of the Grim heads fires to where Mugman is, and although slow, if you damage them, they will split into the 4 cardinal directions, and Grim's middle head will eventually turn into a flamethrower and blast fire in the middle of the screen. And with all of that cloud RNG, it was not fun. And while this is happening, my plan was to get to Grimm's back and then beat it with Whetstone. But I could only get at most 2 hits in until the next flamethrower cycle. Unless if Cloud RNG is feeling evil that moment, and dying towards this phase was a gut punch. And having to start all the way back in phase 1. Having to grind for health and try not to take damage in the previous 2 phases, while struggling with phase 2. It was just too much. But then, I had an idea. But I had to ask one simple question to Rundown Blade. And they said, you know what? Yes. And that question was, can I use co-op mode?
The only problem is that I do not have friends. No, Valenethan isn't my friend. He's my prisoner in my basement.
So I had to put my Control 2 characters at the same time skills from that challenge to the test. The only problem with co-op mode is that damage the players do is halved, so that the bosses don't die as fast. So I still want to do phase 1 and 2 with only Mugman, as I do not want to waste my time. And then I will only spawn Cuphead when Mugman is either on 1 HP during the second phase, or the final phase started, because Cuphead has Divine Relic as well. He can grind for more health, which comes in handy, so I have co-op mode. Great. But what is the plan, you might ask? Well, have one player die, and then revive them for a free parry, of course. And if you call back to the fact that there are no other parries in this level, I will gladly take that free parry. So we fill up Cuphead's super meter and then blast Grimm with Super Art 1. Great. But what if Cuphead gets to 1 HP? What happens then? Then, we are resorting to Plan B, where we revive Mugman, take Mugman's controller, and then put down the 1 for Cuphead's, let Cuphead die, and then revive him. And then put Mugman's controller down, and then grab Cuphead's controller, and then revive Mugman after he dies. Keep doing this until you fill up on your super meter, and then use Super Art 1 on Grimm. Do the same thing for the other player, and then keep doing this until we knock out the dragon with our mighty straw blast. My god, never again. It took so long, I don't know how many hours I've spent on this anymore.
While a less dramatic way to end off Inkwell IL2, we still have to deal with Wally Warbles. Now I start by hitting Wally 2 or 3 times and then backing away. While dodging Wally's eggs might seem difficult, just stay slightly to the right of the very left of the screen so that the egg bullets in the very left don't hit you. And the eggs that split into 3 ways also don't interfere with Mugman. While this is happening, birds with needles will come by, with the 4th one always being pink. Like always, I want to avoid the bird egg that Wally shoots out, so I cannot reliably hit him with Whetstone. Unless if Wally shoots out the finger bullets attack, in which it will take some time for him to start shooting some more eggs. So get a hit in or 2. Once the super meter is filled, blow up Wally and then use the rule of 3 to 5 to the most. Eventually, Wally will get mad and then spew out feathers. Thankfully, they are pretty easy to dodge once you get the pattern down, and you can reliably hit Wally with Whetstone. We kill some more birds with an X, and we blow up a father's home. Willy Warbles, though, has some other plans. Willy will move in a stranger pattern, to say the least, and there is a spiky egg shield surrounding him that opens and closes. So you are going to want to carefully traverse around them. Willy will also shoot out pink lasers, so just parry them. Hitting Willy can be a bit tricky though. Back up and then hit Willy when he's moving to the left, and then move forward, and then hit Willy when he's moving to the right. But get out of the way when the egg shield closes in, and make sure to abuse your power to shrink. Eventually, Willy will be defeated, and Wally is back for revenge for what we have done to his house, and hitting his son with an axe. The problem with this phase is that it's built around using the drop bombs that you can get earlier in this aisle. But we cannot do that, so instead we have to avoid the pills from the paramedics and then parry them when we can. Wally will spew out trash to Mugman in an arc, and some of these are parryable, but I try not to go for them as it's just not worth the hit. Wally will also shoot his heart out, which shoots out bullets, so do be careful there. Also pay attention to which bird is attacking so you are prepared to dodge. And once again, fill up that super meter and then blast Wally and use the roll of 3 to 5, and eventually Wally will become dinner with the paramedics marinating him and look a little too happy to be doing this. Well, we knocked him out, so fly high, Wally. We will miss you. Hopefully the next style isn't that bad. Okay, I swear I will not be making bee puns. Rumor Honeybottoms. The rising platforms may be stressful because of what happened back at Grimm, but I swear it will be nothing like that. Rumor Honeybottoms will send out the security bee first. Start by hitting him from below a couple of times, and his only attack is sending out these bombs that shoot out stingers, with some of them being parryable. They are always in the same pattern, though the parryable stingers are always diagonal, so they will be annoying at first, but you will be used to it after a little while. Worker bees will be buzzing their way home. Dang, I feel bad for them. They're just gonna go home and say, "Hey honey, I'm back. Work has been stressful." Or Cuphead be a mass murderer and will kill them. We will have to drop from the platforms to hit the security bee though. Eventually we beat up a cup, and that is it for phase 1. Rumor Honeybottoms will point to where she will pop out, so do keep that in mind. If she goes to one of the sides, be sure to get 3 to 5 hits in. She will summon a projectile and then leave. The projectile can be a parryable homing ball that chases Cuphead, or a triangle which shoots out parryable triangles. So build up that super meter. If Rumor Honeybottoms goes to the middle, she will shoot out bullets that go to one side, then turn around, and keep doing this until they're off screen. Now this is the attack where you're gonna get the most hits on Rumor Honeybottoms. Get close to the middle and then hit her with an axe. Now something to keep track of is that this phase requires about 30 whetstone hits to beat. Now what you want to do is get 29 hits in and then stop attacking until Rumor Honeybottoms goes to the middle, and fill up that super meter from earlier, and then start spamming the parry button and deal as much damage in this phase as it will bleed into the final phase, like I did with Grimm transitioning to a second phase. And it is not fun to hit Rumor Honeybottoms in the final phase. Honeybottoms will eventually pop out of the middle reading a book. Keep hitting her with whetstone until you can't, and get out of the way. And then Honeybottoms will become a plane. And to hit her, you just have to drop from a platform and hit her face. But there are homing missile fists that she will shoot out, so do be careful. If Honeybottoms gravitates to the side, she will be doing her saw attack. So be ready, and go to the other side of the screen immediately. Eventually, we will be able to knock out the Honey Queen, and we will be able to move on. I said B 20 times, counting this very time I said it. Sorry not sorry.
Next up be Captain Brineybeard, and this presents us with a problem. And that we cannot hit Brineybeard with whetstone. One of the stage hazards in this level will be the barrel, which will drop if Cuphead passes it. And conveniently, Brineybeard's first attack grabbing a squid that shoot out pink variable projectiles, which be perfect for grinding health and filling the super meter. In this fight, ye might also find EX attacks useful, which if ye use Divine Relic, 'tis always randomizes the X when the fight starts, and will always be that way till the fight restarts or ends. So the only way to bring the EX ye wants for ye fight be to scuttle Divine Relic and choose your weapons, and ye can switch them out, which be convenient. But then again, the bonuses for Divine Relic be too good for me to just get rid of it like that. So instead we be winging it. Brineybeard will call out a sea animal hearty to attack Cuphead. The shark just jumps from the port side of the screen, so be prepared to go east. The squid ain't mighty worth the time to take out, as all it does be make your vision worse. And the curfish just elder out from the east side of the screen. But they be easy to take out with whetstone. After doing one of those attacks, Brineybeard will always pull out the squid. So thankfully 'tis easy to fill up that super meter, and then blast Brineybeard with Super Arch 1. Eventually, Brineybeard's ship will shoot out cannonballs, which be telegraphed by the ship he be chewing gum, and sound like it too. After much patience, the ship will get angry and overthrow Brineybeard. The final phase is a bit painful. The ship will shoot out 2 of these bubbles, and then the laser, which ye can parry or duck under. And while this happening, the barrel is still a problem. Whatever we're going to do. Oh, Smokeball, me beloved, is here to save us. Tar is a bubble in an annoying pattern. Dash across it. The barrel is a problem while ye ducking. Dash across it. And while this is happening, we play a fun game called Waiting for the Super Meter to fill up, as I don't reckon it's worth parrying the laser, as that done more harm to me than helps me. So we dash, dash, duck, dash, and keep doing that till ye feel like ye be losing yourself. Eventually we knocked out the ship so badly, 'twill sink along with the captain. Moving on.
For tonight only, we will be showing The Bride versus the Cup with an Axe. Tickets are only 25 cents. Now, Sally moves around a ton throughout the entire fight, so that leaves her open to being hit by whetstone easily. So I just wait until Sally's done with one attack and then hit her with whetstone, and then get ready for her attacks. But you will have to be smart about your movements. You might be annoyed by me mentioning Smoke Bomb, but I really mean it when I say it helps me greatly with this fight. Sally can teleport, which a dash can easily avoid. She can also throw a fan, which isn't too much of a problem. Sally can also do a drop kick. I bet Sally's the type of person to be in an arcade, and when she is playing a fighting game, she will always do the drop kick. And who could blame her? It is pretty effective in those games. However, it isn't effective here. Sally will also blow a kiss, which spawns in a heart. This is one of the only options for parries in this level, so grind for health and to fill up that super meter. Use the baby platforms to avoid attacks if you have to, but today is not the day for the secret phase, so don't activate them both yet. Once Sally takes enough hits, she will go with her husband to start a family. Phase 2 is exactly like Phase 1, but instead of blowing a kiss, Sally will summon mice toys while her children are throwing bottles. Now, this phase has a lot going on, so be sure to pay attention to what is going on around you. One mistake I've made was not hitting the side of the umbrella while Sally's attacking, and that cost me so much time. But when I was experimenting with the secret phase, I found that was the way to deal damage to her without getting hit, and gets the phase over with quicker. Oops. We eventually kill Sally, and phase 3 is rather easy. Sally always stays still, so you can hit her constantly, and the only attacks aren't very difficult to avoid. For the lightning, just move slightly, for the meteor, just ignore it, and for the big wave, just use smoke bomb as usual, and then keep hitting this stupid cardboard cutout of Sally. Then we take her down, and we make it to the most stressful phase in this fight. Considering that Sally's constantly moving and is on top of the screen with the umbrella chasing us with roses falling, it seems impossible to hit Sally with whetstone. Is what I would say if Smoke Bomb wasn't peak. Just distract the umbrella and then hit Sally and then dash immediately after to avoid damage. And keep hitting Sally with an axe until we bruise her so badly we traumatize some kids.
What a knockout performance! Bravo, bravo!
Next on our kill list is that rat, Werner Werman. Now, although Werner is moving a ton during the first phase, the catapult does not have a hitbox for some reason. So you can easily hit it with whetstone before it fills up all the way, and then fires. There are also a couple of free parries from the bubblegum for easy health and super grinding. The cherry bombs, on the other hand, while an easy attack to dodge, the cannon does indeed have a hitbox, so I try not to go in for the hit. Werner can also do a charge attack where you have to use these parry springs, but that is lame! Why not use Werner instead? And this proves to be effective. Phase 2 has Werner blow up the Campbell soup can, and then a platform drops down with some pop caps showing up. The pop caps can charge at Mugman, acting like saws. What you want to look out for is when they all stop moving, they will do a screen wiping attack. So smoke bomb your way to the other side of the screen while this is happening. Werner will move around it a little bit, shoot fire, move up, shoot fire, and then move back down, and then repeats the process, so keep that in mind. You can also freely cross on the bottom of the wooden platform while Werner's on the top platform. Thankfully, it is simple to hit Werner with whetstone, though be careful with dodging everything else. After Werner's systems fails, Werner is eaten by Katzenwagen, in which it's another one of those phases where the hitbox cannot hurt Mugman. So you can whetstone to your heart's content. Katzenwagen will swipe his paws, which drops wooden planks, in which a simple dash can fix. Katzenwagen will also summon 4 ghosts who throw orbs to the player. Sometimes it is pink, sometimes it is blue. But if you think they are annoying, just use good old Super Art 1 to take them out. And then we beat a cat with an axe, and we knocked out the mask and reveal that Werner was controlling Katzenwagen. Fun fact, Katzenwagen in German translates to cat cart, so, that's cool, I guess. But other than that, we are rid of that rodent. Why is Mugman like that? Well, it's Dr. Khal's robot. What if I told you I had the most fun with this challenge with this boss? Shocking, I know. I start out with taking out the antenna, which funnily enough you can take it out without it firing a single laser shot, even once. Once you are done with that, back away as the robot will shoot out nuts and bolts. But it is easier to dodge than the laser. The light bulb drones are easy to take out, though, so that's nice. The laser robot, in which you can parry, is great for grinding for health and supers, so do keep this in mind. We cannot hit the chest or the belly with just whetstone, as it's just not worth getting a hit. Unless if we have a super, so grind for the parries and use your super. Aim for between the chest and the belly so that the blast hits them both. And do not hit any of them with whetstone. This is important. Do this twice and then both the robot's chest and belly are blown up, exposing the heart. But the belly can't shoot out the homing bombs like normal, and instead they just explode, which is awesome. Now, if only if we had a place to camp so that we could avoid attacks and let coffee just fill up the super meter. Which, if you go up here and hold up and right, you are not able to take a hit and let coffee fill up the super meter, and have an easier time taking out the heart. Dr. Khal's robot will try to use his hands to wrap around and shoot a few laser balls, but it's no use. And the magnet is also useless because Mugman is holding right and up, so he isn't being dragged. And the robot's nuts and bolts can't go behind himself, so that creates a recipe for success. Let coffee fill up and then blast and proceed with the roll of 3 to 5 until the heart looks damaged. Then fill up on your super meter again, and then hit the heart with whetstone a couple of times. Then Dr. Khal's robot will malfunction and spins the cockpit as it's now out of control. Now here, the homing bombs will show up from either side of the screen, while the cockpit is spinning, going from one side of the screen to the other, sometimes changing its vertical position. Use the super that we saved up, and then hit it with whetstone. Now get close to the cockpit vertically, and then hit the parry button, and then get up close to it, and then hit it. And while the pause frame happens, move the opposite direction. While you're trying to get those 5 parries in, maneuver around the homing bombs, as if you group 2 or more together, and if they collide with each other, they will explode, getting them out of the way. So make sure that there are 2 bombs or more before landing the last whetstone hit, as if you don't do this and Dr. Khal transitions to his last phase, you will have to take damage from that 1 bomb, which is what we do not want considering how infamous the final phase is. Speaking of which, Dr. Khal will grab a gemstone that shoots bullets into a counterclockwise pattern. The blue gemstone is a more readable pattern, and the red is a more irregular pattern. I found the slower I move, the less likely I am to get hit, so do keep this in mind. Some of the energy blasts are parryable, so I build up my super to use on Dr. Khal when he stops for a quick second, and after blasting him, use the roll 3 to 5 to get some more hits in. The electric walls force you to move up or down, so just get over or under them, and then back away for a bit. You can also use your EX attacks for quick damage. The EX magnets will home on to Dr. Khal, and the EX bullets can pierce through the laser walls and the bullets, which can be quite handy. Now I hope you are used to this phase like I am, as we are here for the long haul, and it's just as difficult as ever. Just hearing the Mad Doctor's laugh, slowly going insane, hoping that this super will finally destroy him, but after using it, he is still laughing. He just never stops. Just keeps on going and going, laughing and laughing. But eventually, we bomb the Mad Doctor, and oh boy, we knocked out his clothing too. Honestly, I enjoyed this fight with this challenge. A lot more than I thought. Which is a well done, Mad Doctor. Moving on. Now, although Cala Maria seems like she would be a difficult boss to do without shooting, it surprisingly wasn't. Cala Maria's hitbox looks like this for some reason, and you see that there's nothing really stopping us from going into the back. Well, let's just say we will save that idea for later, as the hitbox will hit you if you're back there in this phase. Now, the way I hit Cala Maria is by getting up close to her face, hitting the parry button, and then moving a bit to the right, and then once I hit her and the pause frame happens, I move back a little bit. Cala can dive into the sea to grab a fish that either shoots out 2 homing fish or one that shoots out fireballs, which some of them are parryable. After a little bit, the fish will slip from Cala's hands. Cala will also summon a seahorse, which shoots water, pushing Cuphead upwards. Puffer fish that move up, with some of them being parryable, but it's easier to just hit them with whetstone to entirely avoid the attack rather than actually dodging it. And a turtle which shoots out spikes. Cala can also shoot out 3 ghosts that launch towards Cuphead's location, so move up or down to avoid them. Cala will use some of these attacks at the same time from each other to make it slightly more difficult. If you have a full super, do not use it yet. Cala will then get bit by electric eels and become a Medusa. And when Cala's about to do her petrifying attack, Shrink can go over Cala's head and then go behind Cala's head and continuously hit her head with whetstone, and be able to entirely avoid her petrify ray and the eel's electric bullets, which I count as a win. Once Cala's body breaks, use your super on Cala's head and follow the rule of 3 to 5. Then go directly in front of her head to avoid the petrifying ray as it spawns slightly to the left of Cala's head, so if you are up close to her, the ray will not hit you, and so that you're able to hit her head with whetstone. Be sure to avoid the acid bubble skull shots from her snakes by slightly going down, and the spike bars by looking to the far right and getting ready to avoid them. Also avoid hitting the corals, and then keep on hitting Cala Maria with an X, and we knocked her out. Boy, would hate to eel that. To end off Inkwell Isle 3, we have the Phantom Express. And holy, it is the hardest fight in this entire isle. Blind Spectre is the reason why this entire fight is hard, as he is constantly shooting eyes so fast to the point where whetstone cannot reliably take him all out. And even with the pumpkins dropping pink ingots to try to derail us inside of Blind Spectre's hitbox, getting the parries in is too slow with how fast the eyeballs are. In this level, you control a cart in which you can control where it goes with a parry. So a trick I use to stop the enemies from derailing us is by hitting the other valve. So the pink ingot's mission to die and derail the cart fails. We need the cart in the middle to even have a chance of hitting Blind Spectre, which I do not want to have to constantly have to dodge the eyeball attack. Ah, screw it. I am bringing out co-op mode, as I have an idea. Like what I did back at Grimm, we have one player lose health immediately when the fight starts, then bring the cart to the middle, and then line up both players, and then have them both run at Blind Spectre's hitbox at the same time. Then let the player with the least health die, and then let the other player revive them, while getting a hit in. See where this is going? Eventually, the cart will go to the very right, so that we can do an extra hit as the player ghost is rising up. Then after reviving them, we do one more whetstone hit, and then swap to the other player, and do the same. The problem is that we cannot use Divine Relic, as it will give us health and ruin the flow of our strategy. So we are just gonna have to deal with regular whetstone for the entire fight. Eventually, the ghosts ghost us, but that leaves us with a problem. We have only 1 HP for the entire fight, so we just gotta deal with it. We are then met by the conductor, in which his head pops out the middle roof, and his arms come out of the rest to do a slam. Now, the best way to attack is with an upwards attack, because he moves too frequently for Whetstone to be that much reliable. Thankfully, the pumpkins are still here with pink ingots, so we can farm for our super meter here. However, Super Art 1 proved to be ineffective due to the arms and the head constantly moving, and it will get us hit. So instead, I use Super Art 3, which I can easily control with the lock button and then just move around to make the ghost hit the conductor. Not to mention, Super Art 3 does a little more damage than Super Art 1, but is more difficult to use, so that's why I don't use it often in this challenge. A trick to avoid the arms anywhere is to stand at these cart door edge things, while the cart is on the left or right side of the screen. So that helps us in tricky moments. Well, I guess the conductor wasn't drinking enough milk as we cracked up his skull. We eventually move on to the lollipop goals, and the pumpkins have no appearance in this phase, and are instead the homing ghosts that if damaged become a pink skull in which you can parry. But we have to be careful, as if we damage the ghosts on top of the valve, we are pushed into the goal's lightning attack, where we have to go onto the other side of the screen or stay in a very tight corner. So be careful, and just hit the ghosts while they're in the middle of the cart. And thankfully, the lollipop goals are another one of those background enemies in which you can use Whetstone as much as you can. However, they move around a ton, so I only hit them when they are at the lowest part of their animation with their heads bopping. Eventually, one will melt to death. Again. But getting to the other side can be stressful. But what I do is wait until the other lollipop goal stops attacking, and then get there with the cart as quickly as I can, while hopefully avoiding the ghosts. Then we do the same thing that we did to the other lollipop goal, and now all we have left to deal with is the head of the train itself. The train will shoot out a ring of bones in which it will fall until it makes it to the player's vertical position, and then it will move to the left horizontally, so be careful about that. Unfortunately, we cannot hit the heart with just Whetstone. Thankfully, as an expert mode exclusive, the pumpkins return for this phase, so we can fill up the super meter quicker. Now, what I would do is wait until my super is full and then hit the train's light bulb tail and then use the super on the train's heart, while carefully avoiding the ring of bones and the fire that comes out of the inferno of the train. While this phase is stressful, just blow off some steam by breathing, and after enough Super Art 3 ghosts, we successfully knocked out the head of the train for dead, and we got our final soul contract. We can move on to Inkwell Hell. Well, here we are. We are starting Inkwell Hell with King Dice, as he has lost a bet and now wants to take us out. What a jerk! Now, King Dice's fight has Mugman traverse a board, which for every 3 fights there is a safe space. After said 3 fights, until the third safe space, where there is a restart space, which I bet you can tell from its name, restarts the entire board from the start. And the finish space, which will commence the King Dice fight. To move, brother, you gotta roll the dice. Now, although it may seem random, you can just time the dice roll by watching where the dice is rotating and locate the number you want. Then wait until the number before the one you want shows up, jump, and once the number that you want shows up, hit the parry button, and you should get the number you want. Now, it is time to go into the mini-bosses, and determine the best 3 bosses for the King Dice run. We will start a rumble with the Tipsy Troupe. Old Ethan will spill some alcohol on the floor, damaging the player, while Romulus is shooting whiskey that lands where Mugman's location is. Jeanette will summon olives that shoot eyes, some of them being parryable. However, the one you can really hit with Whetstone is Jeanette, but because we can parry from the eyeballs of the olives, we can build up our super meter. So we are able to rise our spirits to damage the rest of the Tipsy Troupe.
Eventually, we will kill the Tipsy Troop. Honestly, this fight is way too risky to do this in a proper King Dice run, with how long it takes to build up a super, to take everyone out. Chips Bedigan was rather easy because of my beloved Smoke Bomb. When Chips is moving to the other side of the screen, just duck and dash across the bottom poker chip, and it's really simple to get your hits on Chips. I usually do about 2 to 3 hits before he rises up to move his chips to the other side of the screen again. So he will be the first boss done in the real King Dice run. Mr. Wheezy was also made easier with Smoke Bomb. Mr. Wheezy will shoot out a fireball and it is simple to dodge. After a little bit, Mr. Wheezy will dissolve it into the ashtray in which you want to wait by the very edge, hit Mr. Wheezy once, and then dash past the cigarette demons to the other ashtray. And keep doing this until King Dice puts out the cigarette. Another good contender for the King Dice run, but Chips Bedigan was faster and easier. Good try, Mr. Wheezy. Next domino to knock out is Pip and Dot. Now there's a row of spikes on the very left of the screen, with some of the floor being flooded with spikes. Now hitting Pip and Dot with Whetstone is easy to access, as their only other attack is to spat out a gem which bounces across the screen, like a DVD logo. Sometimes the gem is pink, which is a free parry right there. But after a couple of hits, that is another domino dropped. Another good contender for the King Dice run. Hocus Pocus is one of the bosses that suffers the most from getting cheesed by Smoke Bomb. The spinning skulls are no problem because once they start to close in on Mugman, you can just dash past them and the parryable hearts are easy enough to just get through. And we can easily hit Hoppus with Whetstone. Eventually we harassed the rabbit. No question, the second boss we will be doing for the real King Dice run. Fear Lap is one of 2 plane fights in the entire King Dice fight, and honestly, it is not worth betting on for the real King Dice run. Fear moves too much to constantly hit with Whetstone, and the cloaked riders will rise once they pass Mugman's horizontal position, and the gifts home onto the player's location, and then explode into horseshoes, with one of them being pink. After a couple of super bombs and following it up with the rule of 3 to 5, we beat Fear Lap. Honestly, the worst fight to do in the King Dice fight so far. Piruletta was probably the most fun fight in the roster of mini-bosses. Using the poker chips, you can create platforms and then land a Whetstone hit off of Piruletta, and then land another parry off a poker chip. And then do it again until she starts spinning, in which you can dash past the roulette balls. While easy, sometimes Piruletta will take longer to move to the other side of the screen. So getting a consistent hit in may be tricky. Eventually, we do beat Piruletta, but if you thought she would be a great contender for the full King Dice run, well, hate to land on red when you bet on black, but that is not the case. Mango Steam is the easiest fight throughout the entire King's Court. It's another one of those fights where the boss has no hitbox, so you can easily land a lot of Whetstone hits in. And the only attack Mango Steam shoots out just homes onto Mugman's location, when shot, which can easily be avoided. Even with the Billard Chalks, this fight is not a problem at all, which makes it the best boss to do in the full King Dice run. And because of that, Mango Steam will be our third boss we will be doing in the full King Dice run. Mr. Chimes is the only other plane fight, and unsurprisingly, it's not worth it. You have to play a memory game with cards, and once you reveal a pattern, Mr. Chimes will slam the symbol. And he moves too much for Whetstone to be useful, so I just let Coffee fill up the super meter, while I'm supposed to hit cards while avoiding Mr. Chimes moving. Then once the super meter's full, reveal the cards and just bomb Mr. Chimes, and then he will go back to just moving. Keep doing this until we take him out. Mind you, this fight alone takes 8 minutes to complete, so it's just simply not worth it for the King Dice run. Alright, now that we are back here, we can determine that the best bosses to do are 2, 5, and 8. Funnily enough, they are all the second boss in their section of the board, so that should be easy to remember. So that means the fights that I recommend are Chips Bedigan, Hocus Pocus, and Mango Steam for the real King Dice run. Once we are done with those fights, we carefully roll a 2 and then another 2 or higher to finally make it to King Dice, where he will summon cards to thrash Mugman with. We have to parry the Heart Ace cards to avoid this attack. I recommend saving the dash for when you really need it.
as dashing to get to the first card has ruined some King Dice runs that I've done. Then once King Dice is done attacking, and you filled up your super meter with all those easy parries, I will use Super Art 3 to damage King Dice. Keep doing this until we knocked out the king. That's what you get for betting against us. Nothing can stop me now! Here we are, the Devil's Tower. Never in my life did I ever want to beat the ever-living shit out of the final boss this badly. The amount of bullshit I went through throughout this challenge is enough for me to tell the devil to go back where he belongs. I denied his deal and the devil will show no remorse. Now, the first thing you will notice is that the devil's hitbox is hard to reach. So you have to wait until the devil's hitbox is at its lowest so we can hit it with whetstone. Demons can appear from one side of the screen and run towards the other, but they are not a problem at all. If anything, they help, especially if the devil transforms into a goat and slams his hands together. I found that the best ways to avoid this attack is by dashing while it happens, using whetstone on a demon, or using an EX attack while this is happening, so you can do a little more damage on the devil. The devil also has many more transformations, such as the spider, in which while he's transforming, you can get an easy hit in. Once it lands, jump and try to get a hit in, and if you do, back away as soon as possible, and try to keep doing this until the devil transforms back. Another one is when the devil transforms into a snake, where you have to go to the other side of the screen, but you can get 2 whetstone hits in. The devil will also use his pitchfork incantations to summon 1 or 3 attacks. One being a flame wheel with the parryable fireball in the middle. Just parry the middle flame and go to the other direction to where it is heading and jump when needed. Another one being a fireball attack, which launches towards Cuphead's location. One of them being parryable. Just go to one side of the screen and jump, and don't jump to avoid the attack. And obviously parry the pink fireball. The final incantation attack being 4 balls that bounce around the screen, and to keep up with the theme, one of them is pink. Just look around to where the balls are bouncing and dodge accordingly. After many hits, the devil will jump out of his skin and jump into the depths of hell, and we have to follow him in there to finish him. But the devil has found us threatening, and because that he thinks that growing 20 times his normal size will stop me now, he is greatly mistaken. Cuphead has to platform on 5 platforms, with each phase preceding this removing 2 platforms. And there's a fiery poker chip that sometimes falls onto one of these platforms, so do be careful. The devil will summon a parryable bomb to try to attack us, but it is easy enough to parry. His only other attack during this phase is summoning an axe that spins around, but it is easy enough to dodge. Unfortunately for the devil, his axe is not as effective as our axe. And the amount of anger conveyed by how much I am constantly hitting his eyes should be telling. Also, if you have your super filled up, make sure not to use it until the next phase. The devil will get angry and summon 2 henchmen, and these imps, which are super annoying, which is why we brought Super Art 1 here. We blast the henchmen and the imps along with the devil's eyes, and once the imps respawn, they will spin around Cuphead's location to try to stop him. And the henchmen will shoot out skulls, with some of them being parryable. This is easily the hardest phase of the fight, so try to conserve your health to the best of your ability. But then, the devil realizes we are too strong for him, and cry like a little crybaby. His tears are also parryable, so we can build up our super meter to blast him into smithereens. And while this is happening, we have to be careful about the flaming poker chip, as we have no more platforms to platform on. Alright, that's it. I will show him no mercy. I will finish this right here, right now. I will defeat the devil if my skeleton burns from pure anger So be it! I beat the devil. Yes! Yes! Why is it cold though? Oh god! Well, I guess I used up my last one-up. Well, that's all, folks. I beat Cuphead without shooting on expert mode. Thanks for watching this video. Am I forgetting something? Oh no! Well, here's the outro I pre-recorded. See you whenever I decide to upload. Whoa! Bum param 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 param